Yeah, everything's good. Every interaction that I have is over this app now. So it's a crazy year, but everything's good.
Okay.
Relatively, I think.
So first of all, I want to say that we wrote in our social media about the interview with you, and there were so many questions, really good questions, and I will ask some of them lately.
Okay.
And just for you to know that there are a lot of messages from your fans, how fans love your band, how fans love you. So just for you to know.
Well, the feeling is returned as well. It's mutual. I'm very thankful for anybody liking our music, but I think especially thinking about people in Russia all the way across the world that care about our band. That's really meaningful and really special. So thank you.
For almost 3 weeks, you've been hosting the playlist on Spotify for Russia. It's called Left Lane. So can you tell us what is it about, and what would it be like if it was made for not for Russia or for Poland maybe, or Kazakhstan? Is there any difference?
Well, I think the idea of that playlist, I like it a lot because I think that there's a lot of influence from when I was younger, and when I started playing the drums in particularly, there's a lot of some punk music, some pop punk, and and I think that's one thing that got me into playing the drums. I feel like a little bit more aggressive music was kind of where I was at as a teenager, and I think that translated by being able to replicate those songs on the drums. And actually, they taught me the drums. I would sit at night with just some drumsticks and hitting my legs before I went to sleep, learning some of those tracks. And I don't know why I was so aggressive as a teenager or why I felt those feelings. I think it's a pretty normal thing for teenage boys and girls to just kind of feel like there's a lot inside that you just want to get out. And I found that kind of therapy and that release through music and through the drums, and specifically those types of songs. And some of those bands I still listen to today. I have a couple other playlists on Spotify, some that a couple of like pre-show playlists, and some of them have some of those songs by some of those bands on there. And I have a little practice drum kit set up in my dressing room, and I'll kind of sit behind there and just play some of those songs to warm up and get in the right space. So that's really I think that was my thought process there. And I don't know if it would be much different for any other location. I think that when I create a playlist, I kind of like to go there in my head when I'm potentially going to be listening to it, or to maybe create an experience for people as well, going through and listening to it song into the next song, kind of the way that I like to listen to albums. Now with Spotify, you have the ability to just curate what that experience is going to be from song to song, and I think that that's important too. Sometimes I'll put playlists on shuffle, but a lot of times I'll try and be pretty intentional about where I put that and what order those songs go. So that's kind of where my head was at when creating that playlist.
Can you tell us what is the difference between Russian fans and any others?
Man, I love coming to Russia. I think it feels pretty different from America. And there's a lot of places that we've traveled in the world, and some of them feel like home and some of them don't. I would say that when I'm in Russia, I definitely it's a different feel from America, and not in a bad way. It's just different. And I think that when you travel, you find those places that feel a little bit familiar, and then places that feel a little bit different. And sometimes I like a little bit of both. Sometimes there's times where I really long for a feeling of being home if I've been away for a while, and sometimes I want to experience something that is completely different, a culture that is different. And so I think that when I'm in Russia and I'm feeling a little bit like the culture is different, I think it's the fans in Russia are what make me feel like home. And not to sound cheesy about it, but I think even walking around city and bumping into, you know, some kids wearing our hoodies or our merch, or we'll stop and, you know, want to take a photo or talk. It always makes me feel so happy to be there, and having conversations with Russian fans. And I'm really thankful for that. And now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it, I'm missing being in Russia. So um, if everything goes according to plan, then we should be there hopefully pretty soon. We'll see.
How do you feel about flash mobs they prepare for your performances? There are a lot of them always.
Yeah, it's so. Again, I think I started out saying having fans anywhere, even city away, that know who I am or who we are as a band or know our songs, is very meaningful and special. It doesn't get old to me, and I really try not to take it for granted that there are people that are fans of our band. So seeing something like that, especially something so coordinated but so raw, that's really put together and really intentional. Man, that's cool. I you know, watch some of that stuff online and just kind of I feel really proud. It's super cool. It's and I think that when Tyler and I started playing music and we started this band, our biggest thought and our biggest resource to spread our music was to play shows. If we could get our music in front of people, then hopefully they like it and hopefully they tell other people about it. And so now seeing that and people performing these songs kind of in the streets or in various locations, getting an audience and getting people's attention by playing our music, and very talented too, is really cool. Yeah, it means a lot. It's really crazy for me to see.
Do you remember the big book from Russian fans? It's called Book for 21 Pilots from Russian Banditos. If you
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember it?
Hold on a second.
There are a lot of drawings, cosplays, letters. It was represented to you on February 2019. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Have you read the letters?
Yeah. So we that tour, I mean, it was so cool that I took a photo with it. Which, you know, I don't always do, but that was a really special thing. That tour, Russia was really the first place that we played on that tour. So we had it with us the whole tour, and you know, and we would kind of scroll through it and look and see photos and letters and stories, and it's again thinking about how people have made this band their own, and I have my own memories and my own thoughts and feelings with our music. And what's cool about music is that even Tyler has different feelings about different emotions and different memories with these same exact songs. And so music translates different to everybody, and every single person has their own personal memory with a song or with music. And when people write that down and share how special that is, or share photos of of memories made because of this music, or stories of how they met a best friend or met a loved one, boyfriend or girlfriend, or husband or wife, because of this music. It's a really wild thing, and maybe I'm feeling it even more, especially now that we're having time away from it, where I'm missing, missing being on the road and being with these people day after day. So maybe that's making me feel a little more emotional about it, but it is special, and I miss you guys. I guess it's been a tough year. This is we don't like to go this long without without being around people, without playing shows, and feels like it's been way too long. But yeah, the book was really special, and looking back over those stories is really cool. I think Tyler has it now. Him and Jenna took it with them after the tour, and I think they open it up and read it to their daughter Rosie every night before bed.
That's great. So you will come to Moscow in July 2021. I hope everything will be okay.
Me too.
So this concert was supposed to take place this summer, but it was postponed, like many others. And how much has the concert crisis affected 21 Pilots and all this pandemic situation?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, like you said, there are shows that we've had to cancel or move, and so I think that it's been tough. It's been really tough. There's there's people that rely on touring for a job, for money, and there's people that can't make money now because there's no tour happening. And I think for us, it's just it's tough, especially to have in our minds already and kind of mentally prepare to be somewhere and then not be able to do it is really hard. So I think it's hard and difficult in many ways, but yeah. The biggest is kind of just having to readjust sort of expectations. And even like you said, hopefully everything goes smooth for this these upcoming plans. In reality, we don't know. And that's the tough part too, is I think when the whole pandemic started at the beginning of the year, maybe technically the end of last year, but really started affecting our, I think a lot of our lives in the beginning portion of this year. We really didn't know what was going to happen, how long things would take to get back to normal. And I don't know where you guys are at now, but it's crazy over here. Things are kind of locked up and then not, and then people break the rules and then it gets worse. But ultimately just kind of feels like it is taking a lot longer than a lot of us anticipated. So that being said, that's another. I think that's another tough part of this, is realizing that we don't know when it's gonna, when it's gonna come back. So in the meantime, we're trying to just kind of work on music remotely, but kind of use this time to work on that, which again is difficult because we don't know when we're going to be in front of people again. And a lot of times when writing music, we use this idea of being in front of people as kind of inspiration for how a song is going to look and even sound. There are moments in the writing process where we're thinking about what that's going to look like live, and right now we don't know, so that creates challenges even in writing.
Yeah, so about this whole pandemic situation, a few years ago you said that you suffer from anxiety, and can you tell us how does this whole situation affect this feeling How can you deal with it?
That's a great question. I definitely have in my life. There have been moments worse than others and times worse than others where anxiety is a real thing. And as a young kid, I didn't know what that meant. And then when I was in my teenage years, I realized what that felt like and what that was and what it was logistically to kind of suffer from that while traveling and while having to be around people or in front of people. And a lot of it does come from the unknown and feeling like you want to control a situation that you can't. And there's a whole lot to it. And I feel like I've learned a lot about it, about anxiety, over the years. And I think that, yeah, I think for everybody, even if you're somebody who doesn't typically deal with or feel anxiety, this has been a year that I think a lot of people have felt it to some degree, just because of a lot of the unknowns and a lot of really negative things happening, from people getting sick and dying, loved ones that maybe have gotten this virus and passed away or have recovered. People don't know what to do about money and their jobs and providing for family. And so it's been really hard. I think there's a lot of reasons why people would have worse anxiety. For me, I think that a big thing that I've found and discovered that has been probably the most helpful with that is how I treat my own body and my mind through exercise and what I eat as well. But I think that when there was a day that I was just feeling about to have a panic attack, and I ran out the door and just went for a run. It was like this kind of a instinct thought, and I was just like, I'm just gonna maybe try and get my mind off of this somehow, and maybe this will work. And I really felt that it did, and that was something that I then sort of became addicted to, and really I was able to I think while I was running and my heart rate was up, I felt like I was in control of that and my brain wasn't. And as a result, I was able to then sort of structure my thoughts better. And so I think that through the process of running or any form of exercise, I've been able to examine my own thoughts, and really it's been healing in a lot of ways. And then with kind of what you eat or drink, I realized quickly that caffeine made anxiety a lot worse. And so when I'm feeling it more than other times, then I definitely try to cut back on that and just drink a lot of water and just try to be as healthy as possible. And that's something that worked for me, and maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but I think the idea of looking at yourself and trying to cross things off the list of, well, this helped or this didn't help, but ultimately having that sort of list and that self-awareness of what maybe certain things make your mind a little bit worse, and then trying to find a solution to make it a little bit better. Music is a big one too. I think when you're feeling anxious or worried, again, for me, I think that a lot of time has to do with the unknown. If I just put on some music that I know or love, that helps me to kind of go to another place, and it kind of evens me out a little bit. And comedy as well, to be able to go into a space of laughter, I think in some ways means that your body and mind are relaxed and comfortable enough to be able to react in that way. And so I like comedy a lot. I like to put on stand up or put on a funny show or a funny movie. or music or run. And I would say that those are the things that have helped me the most.
Now we came to the most important thing. So when will the new album come out?
Well, I don't have, I guess I don't have a full answer for that. We're currently still working, and I think that because it really is me and Tyler working on this, I think it probably takes longer than some artists coming out with albums, because it's we don't have other people really helping us, and also logistically we're in different places, and so we both have our own studios, which is really nice, and so he comes up with a lot of stuff there at his studio, sends it over to me, and then I come up with my some stuff here at my studio, and then send it back. Not exactly the same exact type of mail as in the Level of Concern music video. It's a little more digital than that, because I don't think we need to wait that long to get files back and forth, luckily. But yeah, it's a lot of just kind of just back and forth and working remotely, which in the past we have done, but not to this extent. It's pretty much fully remote right now. So I guess I don't have a full solid answer for you on when when it's going to be released, but hopefully sooner than later. We always really want it to be right and as good as possible, rather than just kind of throw stuff out there just to have it be quick.
Yeah, that's great. So will there be a new bunch of puzzles and riddles?
Probably safe to assume that there will be some things that people have to figure out. But I do know that, I think in terms of the Level of Concern puzzles that we did, that was kind of, that was really fun to do, especially because it was just, sort of like the beginning of this crazy unknown time. And a lot of us were in the beginning process of kind of quarantine and being on our own. And I know that we were all looking for things to do anyway, and that felt like a good timely thing to do.
How will the year of 2020 end? What do you think?
In the perfect world, I think that somehow we find a solution to this virus, and I think people start loving each other more, and caring about each other, and treating each other with respect, and that includes online. I think the internet has become a place where people can, there's a lot of power online. I think that that's a really good thing, but there's a lot of kind of darkness on there too, and hatred. And so I would love to live in a world where I can get online and not see people hating each other, and sending negative energy. And so I think just positive energy is what I would hope for. And concerts happen again. I think that would be really important and really good for me, mentally and personally. But I think a lot of people would enjoy that. And I don't know. Yeah, I think those would be pretty huge things to happen at the end of this crazy year. And they probably won't, but I think that regardless, we can go into the next year realizing that some of the terrible things about 2020 are going to carry over, and us knowing that personally we can do our part to love each other, and to try and spread positivity and lightness in a world that feels like it's increasingly getting darker and darker. So that's what I hope for, and I hope that comes true.